on the camera screen.
Yeah, there usually is.
And so like doing this is like tripping my brain out because like in my peripherals timed up with the computer. So I'm like
Yeah.
really tripping. Okay, that was weird. Hi, and welcome to the Johnny Random Show reboot. We are coming back for season 2, and I'm very excited. We're doing a little bit different format. We realize that we've been diving deep into topics and sometimes neglecting the random part of the Johnny Random Show, the more fun aspects, the more entertaining. So we are
Spontaneous.
now doing it a little different. So we actually recorded a whole little intro video, and we didn't have any. Excuse me. We didn't have any video component. We just had the audio. So we're just doing a little intro to our intro video, and then we're going to put the audio up, and then we will have so you can listen to like the rest of the intro on audio. I'll tag that to the end of this video, but this is just the intro. What we're doing, we're coming back for 2023, and hopefully it's a little bit more fun. Hopefully it's a little bit more on the entertainment side of things, mixed with what you hopefully have come to like about the Johnny Random Show, which is the
Thoughtfulness.
the deep thoughtfulness. Yes. Hopefully deep, hopefully thoughtful. So that is it, and we're just gonna cut straight to the rest of the audio of what we did earlier, and that is your tease for season 1, and then we will start and we'll have another episode out for you soon with everybody, and we'll kick this off. So thanks everyone.
Enjoy.
Yeah, so this is a reboot, and this is just the introduction video, just kind of let you know what to expect, what we're going to be doing next. We just wanted to talk about one topic, just kind of introduce the format and what's going on. So Matt and I were talking earlier, and he had mentioned something about MIA, and I was like, oh, pause. We're going to use that in the video, the intro, just to kind of tease out a little bit. So MIA is a band, for those of you who don't know, specifically
Artist.
stands for missing in action, but her I think her name is like it's Indian, well, Sri Lankan. So
Right.
it's a little bit hard to pronounce, but her band name is MIA. So you could just pick up where you were going. I didn't even know where you were going or what you were going to say about MIA.
That's all right. I hadn't figured it out yet either.
Yeah. So,
but no, so MIA had a dream or a vision or something along that line where she was met not by Buddha, not by any other religious leader, but out of the blue by Jesus. She is an immigrant. She has lived most of her life in the UK, but has though she's grown up in a multicultural society, she's mostly been around and comfortable in that atmosphere. Is he the Buddhist or Hindu? I actually don't remember anymore.
Yeah.
But at any rate, a vision of Jesus hit her out of the blue. And there are stories of that happening in a lot of Arabic countries as well, Muslim countries that speak Arabic. It's language people think. But anyways, so there are a number of people who are coming to faith in Christ by vision, by sign, essentially. It's important to remember that the truth exists and the truth is real and it matters, but there's a subjective element to how we can know the truth. Each of us have a lived-in experience too, where we have to deal with what we experience. So for her, she realized experientially that Jesus was real, and then came to faith in him, and as many other people did too. I would say that all people do that. So yeah, that was my thoughts from that, my takeaway from that. But it's exciting for me as a Christian to have other people that are not leaving the faith or leaving a pretense of the faith, but coming to a true faith in Christ and just trying to work out what that means in lived experience, you know?
Yeah, that's interesting. I actually didn't know about that vision. What I saw was she was canceled from the festival, an upcoming festival. Just, and my understanding was it was due to an appearance on the Candace Owens show, where she may have discussed that. I don't know. I didn't watch that.
Yeah.
show, but I assume that's what it was. But yeah, so I have fond memories of the band MIA just because she did a song, and it was one of the choruses is like, all I want to do is, and then it
Yeah,
has
paper
a
planes.
gunshot and take your
Hmm.
money. And so she sometimes, like, when somebody says all I want to do, I just sometimes is like, that lyric comes into my mind, and then I
Yeah,
go bang, 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 and take your money. And so it's just a funny little lyric. It's just kind of been in my you know, how you get songs stuck in your head and they come back at
yeah.
situations like that.
Do you know what that song means though?
She's actually talking about immigration in
Right.
the song, and a lot of her songs are talking about, and I looked her up after that. Well, like not even that long ago. I was like looking up like a biography, and or somebody that I had listened to was talking about her, and was talking about her kind of pushing the limits on calling out the government in the UK on their
Yeah.
treatment of the immigrants from Sri Lanka,
Mhm.
and her father was very politically active in Sri Lanka, and so she's always been around politics, even through, and it's always been a theme in her music.
Yeah.
Well, so
But she also can't perform in the United States because she's not allowed in the United States because of her father's involvement in what the US deems a terrorist organization.
he's
So that's
on a
really
terrorist
interesting too.
list. Yeah,
Exactly. So whether they're right or wrong, it's kind of a problem. So
yeah, and
just
and
just by loose connection.
it just talks about. I mean, like, what what do you deem a threat or a terrorist organization? And like,
Mhm.
are the definitions so broad that like pretty much anybody can kind of fall into like these categories, and just like sort of
Right.
unfair, like sort of blanket treatment of people, and not taking into account their situations and stuff. So
Yeah.
yeah, I
Well, it's
think
difficult. There's always a balance between being wisely cautious and being overly cautious. It's a tough line to make, and I don't necessarily blame the US for its choice on that, but I will say in this case, it looks pretty ridiculous, to be perfectly honest, to not have a performing artist come because her father is involved in possibly a terrorist organization. I'm like, how many of our own citizens have connections to the KKK or different other things that would be
yeah.
basically terrorist organizations? So,
Yeah, and it's judging someone based on like something that they can't control. I mean,
yeah,
it
yeah,
is somewhat. I mean, people throw around the term racist so flippantly, but like it's basically
yeah,
like a blanket statement. We don't like this person, whatever, because of the status, because of something that they can't control. She can't control who her parents were. She can't control
right.
that element of it, and so you're not judging people based on the individual merits of those people, which
But
I
at the
think
same time,
should all be.
our citizens our citizens have a right to some type of security and border control, which is something that we're apparently holding on to very lightly. So,
Well, it's interesting because I never actually posted. We did an episode on immigration that never got posted. And I never finished editing it and putting it out there. I didn't exactly feel like I knew what I was talking about enough to put it out there.
we just migrated on to other topics.
Exactly.
Anyway,
And it was and I still don't know how. I mean, like, I get very uh conflicted on the subject of immigration, because like I see both sides so clearly,
yeah,
and I argue against myself, and then like 5 minutes later I'll be like I'm the craziest person, because I'm like I'm like talking out of both sides of my mouth, defending both
mm,
sides, and it's like, and I'm building a strong case for why we should have, a nation has to have sovereignty. If it doesn't have
yeah,
sovereignty, what is a nation doing? And when you
yeah,
get into concepts that we've talked about here at great length on the social contract, and I'm a big believer that we need to have a conversation as a country about what the
mhm,
social contract should be, what should be in it, what should not be in it, and why. And after you have that
right,
conversation, then it's like, okay, this is what we offer our citizens by virtue of being a citizen. So you have to protect that. So if you're not a citizen, then you don't get access to some of the things that are in their social contract. But then
yeah,
it's like the other side of me flips around, is like, they're just as human as me. you know, and everyone should be able to come and go as they want to. I mean, I think that our forefathers came to America because they wanted to, you know. Everybody that came to America is because they wanted to at some point, except for, you know, the Native Americans. But even then, I mean, immigration, you know,
They
however
did
long
come to
ago,
America a long time ago.
everybody pretty much came to. Nobody is born in the place where their great 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 grandparent was born. So immigration has happened. You have been a part of immigration your entire history has been a part of immigration. So to just say at this moment of time, because we've invented something called the nation state, and we have to have social security numbers to pay our people, you know, social security benefits. We're just going to, you get that benefit, but because not everyone's going to get that benefit, then we're going to restrict the rest of humanity from this, you know, principle. And that's where it really gets down to the root of it. It's like where I agree with that. And then, but I also am like, no, you know, so like there's this internal conflict that I haven't squared yet, to be honest. So, and honestly, that's probably the best articulation of my internal struggle that I've ever been able to form just now on the spot, because every time I've tried to explain it before, I'm like, I don't really know how. So
yeah, a lot of it comes down to listening to the rest of the country. So the people that live in Martha's Vineyard have been tuning out and demonizing the people that live on the border, right? But then you send them a couple of busloads of immigrants. Now they have to deal with figuring out the logistics of it. And all of a sudden it becomes a different scenario. Now they're not going to admit that it does. They're just going to blame it on the people that sent the busloads or plane loads of people to Martha's Vineyard, right? But the fact of the matter is that the people on the border, the people close to the situation, have to deal with the situation that arises. And I'm not calling people a situation. I'm saying that people bring situations with them.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And
fair. But to your point, zoom out. Let's say it's Democrats at the border and they're anti-immigration, and Republicans are in Martha's Vineyard, and the shoe is on the other foot. And because you agree maybe with more things that the Republicans stand for and their values and whatever, you say, well, we should be helping these people and they should be able to come in, and these Democrats just, you know, trying to build a wall or whatever. Like, I don't want to take my position based on the party or based on who's in that situation. I want to make a determination based on my values and
I make my decisions
right. What is right. And while I do believe in the nation state, I think that there are flaws in it. And I think you didn't have the subject of subject was not, couldn't be discussed in the same way, you know, prior to in the same terms. I mean, it still would be, you're a foreigner and we're, you know, whatever. And we want to keep our, you know, hegemonic, you know,
people call about, say, don't make it political, which is not the right approach. It's don't make it polar. It's, the question is not whether these things are political. They have political ramifications that level-headed people should be addressing, but it shouldn't be a polar question. Do you hate immigrants or do you love immigrants and want to give them everything? Most immigrants do not want to be on the social welfare system. They would much rather just be able to get a good job, work honestly, and contribute to the societies that they join. Many of them would kind of prefer not to learn the language, I'm sure, but the majority of them understand that if I learn the language, I will be better off. So they're, you know, that's the thing. So I'm just saying that it's not a polar question, whether, like, how to handle immigration. And unfortunately, we have two very polar answers to the question instead of being something more amenable. And I think it would be easier to do that if the people in Martha's Vineyard listened to the people in Texas, and the people in Texas listened to the people in Martha's Vineyard, because it's really easy to get bogged down in this situation and not to take a high level view where you're just like, okay, now I guess that's true. I can see, and this is, I'm just speaking as a Texan here, I can see how immigrants are the lifeblood of our society. I can see that. I just want them to come in legally. That's where but we need to make that possible too. I think that there's a way to get Texas and Martha's Vineyard on the same page, and it requires listening to each other.
I think so too. And I think you're right on with that, but I think that we need to understand what exactly is legal. Like what does it mean to be legal? Because and I kind of sound like a woke Democrat, at this moment right now, because I'm like, you're a human, your position, your proximity, if you stand on this side of the border, you're a legal immigrant, but now you're, your position of where you're standing on the globe tells you that you're an illegal person, like what exactly does that mean? Does that mean that you have registered? Are you a registered citizen or a non-registered citizen would be more of a accurate term for me, because it's like you're being registered means that you're participating in our society the way that we structure our society. If you're not registered person or citizen, whatever, you might be living here, but you're not participating in our society, which means we need to get you registered in our society if you want to live here long term, which means that it should be very simple, like going and getting a driver's license process. You should be able to like go to the DMV. I came from blah, blah, blah. I don't have a criminal record, whatever. Like if we can, get those records, like we'll look you up, whatever, do some vetting, like, but then it's almost assumed that you're going to get it. Like nobody assumes that you're not going to get a driver's license. You know what I mean? And like, so it's just the way that we go about it. Like it just needs to be a paradigm shift to me.
Yes.
Would really help. And I think that's what you're saying is like, it would be a way to get everybody on the same page. But what you're saying is like, if we just thinking about it, just so polarized, terms that it makes it just impossible to come together. And I was talking to a gentleman at work yesterday. It was an interesting conversation. The first time I ever met him, he seemed like a really cool dude. But he was talking about how, he's sort of center left. And I was like, okay, I would consider myself probably center right. And, we just had some really great back and forths, about how both sides, disagree with certain things on both sides, didn't disagree with, whatever. But I was talking about how like, I see myself as more of like on the Republican side of things in general. And so I'm constantly looking to critique the Republican side because I don't criticize the neighbor's kids. I criticize my kids. I might criticize them, but I don't like constantly want to I'm not trying to fix the other kids across the street as much as I'm trying to fix the behaviors of my own children. You know what I mean?
That depends on, so you don't have any authority over your own party or your own side, let's call it. And that's one of the problems. So for instance, center left would be people like Bill Maher, who are trying to criticize the far left and bring them back into control. But the problem is that they are just ignoring him. He has no authority. And the similar.
Well, everyone's ignoring the Johnny Random show too. I'll have you know.
I know. We gotta fix this.
Listening to us right now.
We got to be the Johnny Marr alternative. I don't know what I'm saying. Anyways,
the Bill Maher alternative on the right, is the center right trying to critique the far right, But I think part of what you're saying is like you don't have input speaks to like what 10% of Republicans vote in the primaries. I don't remember if it's 10%, but it's a super small percentage of actual Republicans participate in the Republican primary. And so then the primary candidates go out into the general election, and then the general election happens and you're picking candidates that were picked by just such a small majority of, a small sliver of people chose the candidates, and then a larger group, but not even everybody participates in that. It's only 60% of the population actually votes. So 60, and that's, I think, in a general election. So you're talking about these midterm elections, it has to be closer to 40 to 50% has to be. So like not even half the population is even voting. The population that is, the half that is voting is not voting on people that they selected from the pool that was available. That was only done by a very small fraction. So you get, I'm blaming the voters to a certain extent for the condition. It's not the candidates necessarily. The candidates are just doing what the candidates have to do. This is the group that votes in the elections. I have to go out and talk to them. I have to convince them. And if they're extreme in certain situations, I have to appeal to that. But I know I look crazy to the rest of y'all, but you know what? I'm going to get a vote, because when it comes down to 50-50, most of those people aren't going to vote for that side, you know? And it's like, I have to just be not so extreme on everything, or extreme enough in the areas that, you know, I think I can get away with in the state that I'm in, or in the certain place that I'm in. And, you know, it's a dumb game that has to be played by politicians, but it's because our population is not participating in the way that it really should be participating.
Right.
And I was telling him the point of that was like, that the solution is that more people get involved and vote, you know, and more people are interested. And, you know, it's the quality, and it kind of comes back to, you know, central point of what we were making earlier in the previous, you know, season of the Johnny Random Show, was like, it's the quality of people is, you know, America's great because America's good. If America ceases to be good, then it's going to cease to be great. And I think that's what's happened, is there's not as many good people in the world. People are not choosing to do good, even moral people. And, you know, Christianity is, you know, is condemned by a large group of people. And, you know, even MIA, you know, converting, you know, to Christianity and kicking off of the festival, you know, there's no place for you and your values on this stage. So what does that say about our society? I mean, that's crazy. That says something absolutely crazy to me. And if we don't have, I know it sounds cliche, but like a revival, and I'm talking about like people come to Jesus truly, and then the rest of society, even if they don't all convert, sees the value of being good. Wow. Okay. There's a paradigm shift in our society, and being good comes back into style, you know, so to speak, you know? And then, you know, you
bring back morals.
It's
like,
exactly.
Make America moral again.
That would work. It's what we need. I mean, that's truly what we need, you know? And then, you know, from a policy level, then you can identify these things like we're talking about immigration, all the topics that we've gone through, you know, ad nauseum, are able to actually have you two different sides, but they're fighting about how to handle the situation. Not like right now is like ignore it or completely change, like, you know, our society as a whole, you know, like I feel like that's the Democrats are trying to change so many aspects of our society, like tectonic shifts, you know, and they have causes, and they have these, you know, ideologies and everything. And the right just seems to be like, no to everything, no to everything, no to everything, no to spending, no to this, no to that, no to work, no to business, no to everything, you know, just keep the status quo, keep the rich, you know, and it's awful. So, yeah, so that's pretty much been our introduction. I have no idea how long it's been. It was a long introduction, but I hope you enjoy what we're going to do next. We're going to have a lot of guests in. Hopefully I can get some people in, you know, that we haven't seen yet, and just pick our, you know, each other's brains. Hopefully it'll be entertaining. Hopefully a little more jokes. Hopefully it'll be a little more riffing on each other, just to keep it going. So we're excited for the future, and adios.
That was an incredibly appropriate ending, by the way.
Really?
Adios after immigration.
Oh, I'm good like that.